We are live now.
We do this thing where we don't start the theme most days until we make ourselves laugh or make each other laugh. And I would, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I was going to find a clip with Bill Crystal that would make me laugh, I would have said no. But this is really all Brian Williams. So this is from Brian Williams' 11th hour last night. Ready?
I don't know. Am I ready?
Yeah, I think you are. There we go.
Work. Gentlemen, good evening to you both. Baratunde, I'd like to begin with you, and we're all about to see something for the first time. We have what I'm told is the first video, exclusive video out of this meeting today between McCarthy and Trump. We'll watch it and react on the other side. You complete me. Not just
me at hello. Hello.
Hello.
You set that up so perfectly deadpan. Like, this is very serious news program.
No, it's good.
I am serious newsman. You complete me.
So yeah, sorry I missed this morning. I was legitimately just head in the clouds, meeting some crazy people in the crypto space or whatever. And I really wanted to talk about this. So I'm very grateful to G Money for coming in and doing this again. And
yes, my schedule is so busy that
Corey, I'm buying more GME. I mean, we need to talk about this. Like, again,
it went up again. It's going up again today.
No, I get that. I really do.
It's a bad idea to buy more GME.
Just if you want to like burn money in protest, buy GME.
Okay, so I from about 8 o'clock last night until I went to bed, and then again this morning, I spent my time actually reading into the whole thing, like how this all happened, how it started, what's happening now, and there's a lot of jargon that is kind of beyond me.
Yeah,
but essentially, this is what strikes me, and that there's a lot of stuff that you understand in this better than I do, but there's a couple of things that are in play for me. First is the guy that started this, the deep fucking value guy from Reddit, Wall Street Bets. There's some fundamentals under this. It's not like just a bunch of idiots did this. This guy started out with fundamentals that were basically espoused by Michael Burry, the guy from The Big Short, that said, "Hey, there's something wrong with the way the stock is valued versus where it should be." And this guy figured out it's not like this happened in some sort of an information vacuum. The guy had an idea that this was what was wrong, and he kept telling the Wall Street Bets people this, and they kept laughing at him. Like when you go through the old threads from when this started, they are ridiculing him unmercifully. Probably they're right based on what most people understand. They were right to say this is a bad idea. This is a terrible idea. You're going to get your ass kicked. But when we get to yesterday, when he sat on the stock, didn't sell any of it, and lost something like $14 million in share value during the day yesterday, and all the little guys, all the guys that are in for 1 share or 5 shares or $10 worth, they're like, if he sticks, I'm sticking. And that's internet culture. Like, it reminds me of the time my community raised enough money to buy Joe Biden a sweet-ass Trans Am, and then figured out that we couldn't actually give it to him because he can't receive a gift. This is when he was vice president. So we ended up giving the money to charity. So internet people will do stupid things that cost them money just because it's fun or funny.
Mike Novogratz, hedge funder, recovering hedge funder, who's now in the crypto space. had the best take on this. And again, like people calling the Robinhood thing nefarious, I am now utterly convinced that it is categorically not nefarious. The SEC shut them down because they didn't have enough money to cover all of the orders that were in their order book.
Right. So they have to collateralize those transactions. They can't.
They didn't have a choice but to make it so that you could only sell so that their balance sheet could get more exact. Blockchain would solve all of this, and that's a whole different conversation. But Mike Novogratz was talking about that, and he basically said, like, we've seen this energy before where facts don't matter, and it was January 6th in Washington, right? So we get all excited about it, and people are getting really angry about it, but I want us to pay attention to the psychology there because it's not different. People don't know anything about government that are in the Trump thing, and that's why they produce so many stupid results. This is the same thing in the markets, and people are going to get hurt. People are financially going to be hurt by this because there is a lot of dumb money going into this. Like this is, 2018 Bitcoin going from 12,000 to 20,000 times 10, right? Like it's that. And it's like, if I was a hedge fund, I'm hungry because I'm going to take your money and it's going to be easy because all I have to do is institutionally short this when the steam runs out of it, and it will. And, make leveraged bets up the wazoo, which is legal for them and illegal for you. Believe me, there's a lot of reasons why this is really gross and really, it's important that we're having this conversation about it. But I am genuinely worried about the amount of actual monetary wealth that is going to get taken from the little guy because it's all of it. Like,
so you think the hedge funders still win in this? Even
fuck yes, they will.
Are we talking about two of them maybe having to file bankruptcy this week?
Well, that's two hedge funds of hundreds, right?
Okay.
Yeah, if you were short GameStop before, you got fucked, which is amazing.
That doesn't make me unhappy.
No, which is great, right? Because they're leveraged, and I think they were leveraged at like 15-1, which is one of the other reasons why these brokers, why the broker connected to Robinhood, like the hedge fund connected to Robinhood, was in so much trouble because Robinhood was handling their institutional buys, right? And so they've got 15x leverage on a short, which in normal everyday thing, once you understand how shorts work, you think they're fucking stupid and they shouldn't exist anyway. And we should talk about how many people have been screwed trying to short Tesla, by the way, which is a fun story. And so by the time, this internet momentum, which again, as a power, as a force, we want to develop this, right? Like I'm excited that this exists as like a, meme culture, and we should put Chet in charge of the entire thing. He'd just be meme culture overlord. By the way, I minted a new Chet NFT.
Right. I saw that.
I sent you a few. So it is an amazing force, and yes, those hedge funds that were shorting GameStop, they're not doing anything illegal, and they're not even really doing anything that bad because GameStop is going to fail, right? Like they're
but that's
now
okay. So while I'm watching this morning, I'm watching some folks say no, GameStop is actually pretty okay. It's not great, but they were liquid enough to pay off all their debts a year ago.
Yeah.
So the only reason the stock value was as low as it was, and this seems to be the operating principle of this guy, Deep Fucking Value, that started all this, was the price was artificially low, and the mechanism that made it that low was all the shorting that was going on. So what I don't get is, okay, so now we know that yesterday Dodd-Frank regulations sort of pumped the brakes for you and for me. But how the fuck is it okay for hedge fund operators to short 140 or 160%? There's stock that didn't exist that they were shorting. How is that? Okay?
It's two different things. So this is an important distinction. So the SEC did not throttle the average person. That's a huge oh my god, they're so gross. How did they fucking do this? They didn't. Right? Robinhood's order book got way over leveraged because too many people were doing too many things on a few stocks. So they had to basically balance their own broker sheet. And the way that shows up in the world is you can sell GameStop, but you can't buy GameStop, right? And of course, it creates a big, huge storm or whatever. But they didn't have a choice, right? So this isn't a nefarious thing about the little guys getting screwed by the SEC.
No. I get that.
However, on the other side of this argument, you can't go in and leverage short or even leverage buy at 15x on Robinhood, right? Without having a ridiculous amount of capital. And these hedge funds absolutely can do that. And so, and part of the story, and I think this is the important part of the story, and why Ted Cruz, even though he tried to have her murdered, and AOC are agreeing about this, is like when a meme pops up that focuses our collective will, which again is an amazing superpower that we should develop as a force for good, hopefully, right? It's amazing, but hedge funds organize this shorts all the time, right? And my gratitude this morning, because I don't know if we got to this morning.
We did not.
Because I'm really grateful for short squeezes, because I mean, people are leverage shorting these things into the ground, and like I could make an argument as to why GameStop was only worth $2.50, right? It's actually not that crazy, but it is a force that is used as a cudgel in the markets by hedge funds to control things, basically, and it's gross. And watching the actual like watching these assets that are getting short squeezed out, have people lose money. It's like that. Watch the next hedge fund that wants to short a bunch of people, because the last hedge fund to short Tesla, and I was thinking it was actually the Big Short guy again. So remember, like the Big Short guy sounds like a fucking genius in that movie. He's only ever been right one time, right? So this is important, and he's been contrarian.
Now he's right this time.
Well, no, he's not. Like you can't. I don't actually believe that GameStop is worth anywhere near. It's not. I'll tell you right now, it's not worth any. Like, could it maybe have been worth $5 for sure? Right? Was it maybe?
Yeah, and that's the argument here. Is
maybe, but that's like that's the
lower than that by the shorting.
Well, and that is definitely something that can happen, which is why like short squeezes are great, right? Like because and if you don't understand how the short squeeze thing works, it basically means like these people are leveraged all the fuck, even if they're not. You put a lot of shorts on, when the price goes above a certain level, they get liquidated, right? Because they're buying multiples of stock more than actually exists.
See, so this is the thing. That part should be illegal.
So again, human beings, like normal human beings, can do this in Robinhood. They just can't do it with other people's money.
So that seems reasonable. But if I decide to short something, I can do it.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
The idea of these hedge fund operators now yelling and screaming, "Oh, this is no fair," because the little guys are doing it.
Oh yeah,
it
no,
seems
fuck them. And like hedge funds that have any opinion about this whatsoever, they're like, "Oh my god, we need regulation." I'm like, no. And this is the thing, like the free market's either going to be the free market.
This has been their argument. No, we need less regulation so everybody has an equal playing field. Yeah. Well, the equal playing field has some pretty hard astroturf qualities to it.
Right. Well, and that's definitely part of it. Well, and the system is rigged for them too, right? It's like the too big to fail thing is baked into how the broker system works. Because
now I think that this is a really good argument for, like, I understood the auto industry bailout.
Yeah,
I understood it, and I wasn't happy about it. But the truth is, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of union jobs making an actual product that Americans actually need and buy, versus hedge fund operators. I don't see their value to us. I don't see what they're making that means we should rescue them.
So
if they get rescued on behalf of the little guy, people that invested in those hedge funds, I'm sorry, it's gambling. Should we bail out people that bet too much money at the dog track?
They haven't been bailed out though. Like those hedge funds,
they're asking for one now.
Oh yeah, no, fuck them though. And this is the thing, like. And this is where, centralized money like that, right? And it could be like a bunch of firefighters' pensions. We don't know, right? Or just like a bunch of rich assholes. It could be either one. Like when you allow people to centralize money in those systems, in those hedge funds, now the amount of loss that is getting borne by them is intense. And that market is really, really competitive. So if you're not doing magical shorting fucking things, if you're not doing leverage shit, then you're not competitive, and so the market starts to fail that way. I mean, this is where I think literally all of this stuff should be on the blockchain. The whole order book system should go away, and it can, right? So the idea that these markets would be unbalanced and be forced to do anything wouldn't happen. They should be entirely free markets, says this people, call me a socialist. I'm literally an advocate for free markets, which is weird. But even like, Elizabeth Warren said the SEC should be doing things so that the markets actually have to pay attention to fundamentals. And she got pilloried by that.
Yeah.
kind of for good reason, right? Because you're either going to have free markets or you're not. And if we do that, like, who decides what those are, right? Like, what are the, like, should the P&E ratio be mandated to be functionally put into the stock price? I don't know, maybe, but like, how do you do that, right? And so, like, anyway, so this is fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, we created a Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation because banks failed in the Depression and several other times in our history, right? So that when you put your money in a bank, that some of it is guaranteed. It's not all of it by any means, but like life insurance companies have to be 1-to-1 guaranteed. In other words, your FDIC money is $1.07 is guaranteed.
Yeah, well, the whole idea.
So it's possible.
Leverage is crazy.
It's possible that you could create a regulatory system that says if you're going to short something, you have to have the assets to cover it, and you can't short any higher than the amount that you can cover. That doesn't seem like it's what happened here.
This is Robinhood's problem, right? Like the companies that I mean, that the whole idea that you can leverage trade, you should get automatically liquidated the second the price goes beyond you, even if you're a hedge fund. And I think what happened with Robinhood is they didn't have enough on their order book to balance all that shit out, which is hilarious and their problem, and they should fix that. And blockchain could. Yeah, Corey said Corey's going to argue on behalf of risky hedge fund billionaires. Fuck you. I mean, in no way, shape, or form have I done that. What I'm trying to explain to everyone is that most of the people that are really mad about this are mad about it for all the wrong reasons, and you should get your facts straight because it just looks stupid. Like it looks mega stupid.
Well, there's no nefarious plot in the Robinhood stopping. That was actually regulatorily required.
Right. I mean, they're about to do an IPO. They're not going to do anything that's going to rat fuck their own brand.
Right. There you go. Chat. We should be getting a piece of the profits if we bail corporations out. If public money rescues them, public should. And in the auto bailout, we got a huge return on that money. Way more than I anticipated or expected. So that was a pretty good template for how this kind of, if they're going to bail anybody out, how it should work. I mean, we didn't do that in 2008, 2009 with the banks.
I think the wealth tax is a good idea. The transaction tax is an even better idea. Like all of Wall Street should be paying into the public trust at all times. Right. I think that's just a given that should be happening because
that's part of the argument when we talk about social democracy. When we talk about free market. Human-based free market capitalism. This is what we mean, right? The people should be protected first and profits second. And making sure that, like when we talk about is it the velocity of money idea that if you give a poor person $100, they're going to spend it in their local economy today. But if you give a rich person $100, they're going to put it in a bank account or some other security that's protected. So it doesn't actually it's not ever useful in the economy, right? So a transaction tax on these stock transactions, that money would go more directly into the economy. It would force
put it right into a UBI fund.
Right.
Like,
well, yeah. Whatever mechanism we choose, and that would be my choice. But yeah, I just love the idea. I love the idea of holding these people responsible, and they're people. Let's not forget these hedge fund managers are people with multiple boats, but they're still people. I think they should maybe have to make their coffee at home and order less avocado toast. Probably
all those these don't get like what hedge funds really need to do. Like, have you tried budgeting?
Yeah,
this is the thing. Like this energy,
they probably pay more for a parking space in Manhattan than I pay for rent.
Oh, that's God, right. That's just that all. I think the anger is so justified, but watching things go from anger is justified to protest buying. Again, the protest buying I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
And not necessarily bad. I'm just watching a lot of very dumb money triple down and quadruple down thinking that GameStop is just going to go up forever. And when whenever I see that energy, I start telling everyone who will listen to me, and it's usually no one, to fucking get out of whatever that is, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever. Like when you see that energy out there, that, oh my God, it's the paradigm shift. Dogecoin is going to go to fucking $50 with a market cap of 300% today. Dogecoin is doing great. Don't get me wrong. Like Dogecoin is where I made my first money in crypto. I fucking love that dog. But it has all of these pumps have an end, and they'll come back to exactly where they started going up. Like, and this is not like sometimes. This is every time. Okay. So and they could cycle up like Bitcoin, where the annual lows get higher. But again, like if you're mortgaging your house, you're going to get fucked.
Right. I will feel bad for people that do that on one level, but on another, there's a reason I don't go buy one share of anything. It's because I don't know jack shit about it, and I know that I can't afford to lose that money. But I do know, as an internet human being, as a person that lives on the internet, that started Twitter accounts during the Arab Spring so people in those countries could communicate outwardly, that fucked up the Vogue magazine servers with a picture of Will Wheaton in a clown sweater. If I had $500 to play with this week, I would probably have bought, I reading the Wall Street Bets thread yesterday, they're all like, they know what they know they're going to lose this money. There's no, they just know that this it's, but if by spending $500 I could bankrupt a hedge fund, and this is like, and again, like, buy a ticket to that. I could buy a ticket to the Super Bowl. It cost me $12,000.
Right, and it ends up becoming kind of a game of chicken. But like, people really are like, if you buy it and hodl the shit out of it, HODL, right?
Yeah.
Then like it. This is why this is all so fucking meta and fantastic. Like, we talk about, the with Schipul, I was just kind of having the discussion with anybody who wanted to have it. Like, we're basically like, all money's value is made up, stocks, same thing. It's this conversation that we're having with ourselves. Well, the conversation just got way more interesting, right? Because I mean, like, the whole idea that the Elizabeth Warren is like, hey, can we have the fundamentals actually be part of the stock price again? Which, again, like, nice, Andrew. It's a great idea, but we're not there, and we've never been there, right? When P&E, profit versus earnings ratio, were, those kinds of things are like fundamentals, right? Those kind of fundamental numbers. That was just a different story that we were telling. The stock was still completely disconnected from, the stock price was completely disconnected from any real value in sense of like economic things. It's just like it was just the experts that were talking about it amongst themselves, and so that's what sort of created the value proposition. And now that information has been democratized. All of this stuff is out there for the rest of the people to do it. And like, these advocacy buys are like a thing that's happening. Tesla is a perfect example of this. Tesla's like $2,000 right now, and if it was like matching a P/E ratio, it'd be like 400 tops, right? But people keep trying to short it into the ground because there's no way this car company can succeed. And Elon Musk keeps like fucking smacking them in the face by doing everything he says he's going to do. And people actually want to buy their cars. And so the short squeezes are fucking epic. And that's why the share price is $2,000. And people are just holding it because, like, fuck you. And it's working. And then they're actually using that money to go in
because like Corey Elko's comment here, I'm not under the impression that very many people are putting it in like it's going to go up forever. I think that's the same explanation.
On fire with that,
really.
Like, I'm seeing like, and again, I'm in sort of the crypto contrarian space or whatever. This is a thing. I am seeing this constantly, which is why I'm worried.
They think they're going to make money.
Yes. And they think, and now like it's going into everything else. Because again, like, crypto cycles happen because it's an unregulated market, right? So that eventually that's where this thing goes. Like, oh my God, it's going to go up. It's going to go up forever. And again, like, where I start getting nervous, I might get nervous when some, if something might have 10x left to go. But like, that energy scares the shit out of me because I watched people lose 95% of their money,
right?
Multiple times now. Like, this is a thing that happens a lot. And again, like, for people that are just literally like, fuck you, protest, and you might actually make money if you sell, right? So like, if you do it and you manage to get out or whatever, then that's great. But
so how is this different from people putting their lives and their welfare and their public their public reputation on the line by going to a Black Lives Matter protest when buildings get burned down? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a message here. I think this is a protest thing. I think this is a protest thing. I think most people's belief in what's happening is look what these fucking hedge funds are doing to you. Change it, and if it costs me some money or some public reputation or some whatever to make people aware of it. Look, number one, there's a lot more people aware today of what a short is than were aware yesterday.
Dude,
that hedge funds are getting away with bloody murder and driving companies into the ground. So the awareness alone seems probably worth the capital investment. because I don't have money, it's kind of meaningless to me. Like the money loss is like, I didn't have any money before, so I'm good.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
scare
to
me
anyone,
like
if it doubles, just take your original investment out and leave the rest. If you
Right.
like really want to
let
protest,
that road, right? Yeah, okay,
Right.
I got you.
And again, like that, eventually, eventually people are going to start shorting it again, and like once the meme runs out, the money's going to run out, right? And so that it'll anyway. Yeah, they need Elon to put a few billion into GameStop. Again, he won't do that. He did, however, change his entire profile bio on Twitter to #Bitcoin. Just that one word. And actually, I minted that as an NFT half an hour ago. So if you have a Wax blockchain address, I'll send you that.
Yeah. See, Elizabeth comes from the same internet culture that I do. That I would pay $20 just to have a giggle.
Is the thing, right? This is the thing that can happen now. And this like Tesla was kind of doing this, but I think mostly it's just like advocates are like, no, we like people are like car companies and things. We're trying to oil companies or whatever. We're trying to crush Tesla, and Tesla had hodlers like Bitcoin has hodlers. They're like, no, fuck you.
We believe in it. We're not selling. Right.
Okay, and
so
that's enough to shore up quite frankly like a transformational company. And
so do you
Bitcoin's
think this becomes a useful protest method?
I mean, this is a superpower.
Private prison corporations? Okay.
Yes. Well, and seriously, like
ExxonMobil? Okay.
Right. Well, and there are like school trusts and things that are basically protesting, like they won't invest in oil companies. They're taking it's called the divest movement, right? And so I think that's huge. But yeah, like as a superpower, I'm here for it, right? As long as we all go in kind of heads up, eyes wide open, and really like if it creates a bunch of millionaires or create like if we all had capital that you threw in Doge and it freaking 10x like it did over the last week, and you take like 90% of that out and go, okay, wait for the next one, right? Then that creates an army of capital that can go in and do this over and over and over again.
And I think that's why this story amuses and interests me very much. Yeah.
Right. Like this, and you're not going to be able to stop this because like the more they try and make it so that Wall Street is protected from people, the more people are going to move to blockchain where there is no protections. And that all of this ends up in blockchain DeFi projects, which anyone who wants to learn about that, I talk about that shit all the time.
As long as it's going up and you cover your initial buy-in when it doubles, we get all screwed with the stock market every day.
Right, exactly.
I would love to have gotten it at $2 a share, be at $8-9 a share now, and have that 70 or 80%.
Dude, it's not at 8 or 9.
Let's go fuck with 400. I know. Let's go fuck with something else. Why is the price of silver so artificially low?
Well, yeah, and this is one of the things they're talking about doing. Like the you can track, and I'm asking around to see, and I'm actually going to be connected to what's called an Oracle company called Predict It that looks at other blockchains, is producing different information. I want to find out where the highest level of shorts are in the cryptocurrency market, because you can short in crypto as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so because I think it'll be really interesting to develop some short squeezes there as well, especially in a bull market like that to me is like, if we could deploy the army, we could do 100x all over the place, which, is a way to produce more of this income momentum for this kind of movement. I think is hilarious.
That's crazy. It's a fascinating week to me. Like
it is for so many reasons. It is, right? Like putting my worry aside, the fact that like a meme overlord who will someday be Chet's, I don't know, prince, whatever. The fact that this can happen it's good. It's good.
Elon did get in to GameStop. Yeah,
did he really?
Yesterday. Yeah, several $1 million worth. And there were other whales along with him. Some other whales in the market did.
Well, he's been fighting shorts for 5 years, maybe longer, where like institutional $1 billion shorts were coming in.
Right.
And he fucking jokes about them all the time. He actually had in one of the ads for Tesla, he had a guy from a model from the 80s in red shorts, just like a little wink, like go fuck yourself, because they've lost at least $7 billion shorting Tesla.
Right.
Because he just keeps basically figuring out how to destroy
And for
them.
scale, this short this week on GameStop, $70 million in losses to the hedge fund so far. So 10 times.
Billion with a B. Yeah, billion with a B.
Yeah, sorry. So it's 10 times what it took.
They got
what it took them a decade to do to Tesla. Yeah, they got hurt bad.
And I don't get it twisted. I don't have any sympathy for them in any way, shape, or form. It's just like trying to like understand the non-nefarious reasons why the SEC is paying attention to that.
Yeah,
it is centralized money. It isn't just rich ass fuck billionaires, although it's a lot of their money or whatever. It's that have their money in these kind of hedge funds. So that's why things are getting, that amount of centralized money forces the SEC to try and do things. But even still, like, they didn't do anything. Like, their order book got screwed.
If a hedge fund goes bankrupt, send it a single check for $600. You wouldn't want to give them too much of and disincentivize them to go back to work. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's the Rick Scott method.
It's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good enough for me, good enough for a hedge fund. I still haven't got my $600.
Tried budgeting though.
Yeah, that was. Don't hedge funds have bootstraps? What?
Yeah, exactly. Can't they just pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Yeah, like I think that the anger is justified in general because they have power that normal human beings don't have, and they've been controlling the system for a long time.
Right. Well, so
here's where watching people make. And honestly, like, smart people in crypto start, just like gleefully getting it wrong to their thousands and hundreds of thousands of fans.
Right.
It feels very MAGA to me because the facts don't matter anymore. And like for my team, they fucking do. Right. And is it ridiculous that these people can, manage the stock market and write all the rules for it? Of course it is. Right. But just making shit up about how this went down is something that I can't get on board with that.
All right. Okay. So I guess what I'm feeling right now when I think about the movie The Big Short, the book The Big Short, the actual The Big Short, right, about the mortgage crisis, I think the reason maybe this feels different is because this is a lesson that we learned without millions of people becoming homeless, right? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is like maybe we're going to learn something from this. You don't think so?
Nothing will change. Yeah, no. Like the whole are leverage shorts going to be illegal? No, because like these companies that were fucking around with GameStop, they're tiny. These aren't big hedge funds, right? Like they're the hedge funds that are and they'll say like responsibly shorting things, trillions under management. Like the idea that they're going to be able to pass a law to change the playgrounds that those people play in, it won't happen. I just guarantee you that it won't happen.
Damn.
Yeah. Now, again, like, should a company like Robinhood or anyone, right, make it the same for big and small people? Should those order books be set on a blockchain where you can't have? Because the problem was, like, you had all these orders coming in, right? And Robinhood has to basically, because they're just a broker, they don't actually hold anything at all except for your money, right? And so they're having to go to these different markets and buy and sell things or whatever. And it takes time for all of that to resolve. And things happen so fast that they didn't have time to resolve all those things. And that's why their order book got all fucked up. And then they basically didn't have any of the assets to make equal what they had promised all these various actors, or whatever, right? On the blockchain, all this stuff could just happen instantaneously. Is
that Abe Lincoln with a machine gun?
What?
Is that Abe Lincoln with a pulse rifle? I'm just looking at Chet's profile picture there. Public sentiment has been affected, though. Okay, so Chet, how do you think that do you think that creates momentum for legal change in this?
What are you going to change?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. So,
and this is the thing. Like, people, like the whole idea that if you want to make it so that Robinhood can't turn trading off for normal people, then move all trading to a blockchain. Good luck, right?
Okay.
If you make it so that they have to make sure that they can't stop everyone from trading, well, what's going to happen is they're going to move all of their order book for large institutions off their platform, and you're going to get slowed down either way.
Right. So
Like,
so allowing places like Ameritrade and Robinhood into to make people possible for people to trade smaller and smaller amounts without having to pay brokerage fees and all that.
Yeah.
That if we overregulate is your point. Because they can't afford them to manage the system.
Watch what happens. If you try and regulate for kind of what we feel like we want right now, which is to not be censored, and you weren't censored,
then any ability for the little guy to play in the market,
the little guy will get rat fucked. I guarantee it.
I got it. I see. Okay.
Right? And so, like, trying to figure out, like, in that public sentiment, again, like the public sentiment of being mad at Wall Street, like figuring out the smart things to do. And again, like a transaction tax that goes right into a UBI would be my bet. Because, like, you could try and regulate all this stuff away, you're gonna fail.
Right. Perhaps they need a payday advance at up to 30% interest. Interestingly, Virginia, that's essentially what is it Melvin? What's the name of the hedge fund that got really butchered? They borrowed $2.8 billion from another couple of hedge funds at credit card rate interest. So they poured that money on like a hot skillet. It's gone. It's gone already.
The thing, like the SEC, if anything, that should be fucking way illegal. Again, like how many times do we have to
do hedge funds?
For hedge funds.
Right.
Like, well, not even like the whole idea that you can use other people's money to borrow other money at 15x to then do a leverage short, like all of that should have been illegal this whole time.
No, that's my point. Like we were talking about Dodd-Frank pumping the brakes on Robinhood and what happened there, but how is this ever? What really started this was not little guys from fucking Reddit. What really started this was hedge funds stumping a company into dust.
Right. Like if somehow this causes deleveraging in the markets,
right,
with some SEC regulation, then good, right? Because honestly, like regular traders shouldn't be getting too leveraged anyway. Like if regular traders and hedge funds all got deleveraged, meaning I can't do 5x, 10x, 15x trades, that I fundamentally I think that's good because a lot of small people lose.
What did they do with the money that those other hedge funds loaned them?
Yeah,
they put it right back into the fire.
Right, exactly. It's completely insane.
By the way, Greg, that Robinhood invite you sent me resulted in me getting a $3 stock that is at 66. I think I have 4 stocks, total value about $48 from Robinhood now. So
that's fun.
I play the market.
Yeah, right. Get after it. So Corey said limit hedging value stocks based on some kind of assessment of actual value. That's what Elizabeth Warren wanted. Call me when you figure out how to do that without fucking the system up. Because I like the idea, but I don't think it'll work.
Okay.
Because it ends up being. And I shouldn't say like it could be a lack of imagination on my part. I'll just say that out loud right now. Like I would love for some valuation to sort of be more of a true thing, but the markets themselves are such a weird human, collaborative experiment in sort of gestalt psychosis that like I don't know how you do that in any meaningful way that won't for sure come back and screw us.
All right, so Chet, expanding on what he said above, I have no clue about regulation changes, but over the long run, cultural changes matter. This sort of stuff contributes. I know basically no one that cared about this stuff 2 days ago, and now everybody does. I think it's bigger than regulation. It's about how people think about the economy popularly, and but that doesn't like how does that intersect with change that fixes a system that is so heavily weighted for people who are already very, very wealthy.
The next hedge fund that goes, hey, do you want to get in on the short squeeze thing? People are going to be like, fuck you. I'm going
to start looking to see, hey, what's the other side of that play?
Right. And this is the thing. Like, I think having an army of regular people that because now with this, and this is one of the more interesting things, right? So the information about this has been democratized, meaning we can all see it, right? We can find out, okay, what's the company that has the biggest short positions on it, right? And again, this is where they're tracking these other things that, again, there are companies that are failing, right? Like Blockbuster's on this fucking list. Is Blockbuster going to be doing anything? No. Right? But if you feel like it, you can go rat fuck up fucking hedge fund by, getting a bunch of people together to short squeeze them out of their position.
Right. And so the reason this is like the thing about let's go rescue all these little companies from short. No. Does Blockbuster have any kind of a viable business plan? No, they don't. GameStop does, however, and whether we think it's great or not, they're selling figures, minifigs, and things like that, and like game adjacent memorabilia, and they're having some luck with that.
Dude,
so the point is they were doing fundamentally good things that were, moderately successful.
They're trying to adapt anyway, right?
Yes, right. They have a roadmap, whether we think it's going to the right place or not. But that's not what Blockbuster is. That's not what Nokia is, right? So those are kind of different circumstances. But so I get how you could see a lot of danger in this when people just piling on the next what they think is going to be the next, Robin Hood rescue, and I mean Robin Hood in the real sense, not the brokerage sense. But that it could be very, very dangerous. So
here's a little lesson for you guys. Turns out the market was just me magic all along.
That's true.
It is. It really is. Like, Chet is a fucking genius, like a scary genius. So I am now just turning his Facebook posts into NFTs that you can own. There will only ever be 1,000 of these. They are available on an open market where you can buy, sell, trade, or hold them. If you don't have a wax address, you can't play.
Yep.
To everyone watching this show right now, I will give you 3 of them if you get me a wax address by the end of the day. One to keep, one to put on sale for whatever the fuck you want. 1 wax, million wax, doesn't matter.
What does it cost you to start a wax account, Corey?
$0.
$0. From Ash Gallagher. Hi, Ash. With Chet Gaines, heard Elizabeth Warren say that we need to be conversing about what the economy actually is. In truth, it's not the stock market, i.e., it doesn't reflect the country, but controls it. Right. So we should be having this conversation about what we allow.
Right. And I think it was Amsterdam, some city was basically turning around. We played the TED Talk a long time ago I used to do all that shit. And they talk about the donut economy, right? Where, on the inside is basically getting everybody into the donut, which means like basically everybody has their basic stuff, right? And then there's this space of innovation and fun and, different value or whatever. And then on the outside of it is like, excess, right? And so you basically want to avoid excesses or what have you. And I think like moving, and, Elizabeth Warren's not stupid and probably knows all this stuff way more than I do. So like, if you could figure out how to take this conversation and move it into, how do you actually make it's Andrew Yang all day long, right? How do you make a human-centered capitalism where these markets are actually tuned and valuing, because right now they value nothing but greed, period. Right. And so like, it's still, you can allocate capital to do something interesting. Enough people think it's interesting. People buy the stock, blah, blah, blah. Right. It's like, it's meme magic. It's just been around for a long time. Being able to program it so that other values were interesting. And this is why the simplest metric for this is a transaction tax that goes right into a UBI. Because then you're creating the envelope of that donut in an extremely simple way that would be very, very effective. And I'm sure we could find other ways as well. But, getting into deciding, okay, how do you mandate from the SEC what makes a company valuable? That will work in some ways, no matter how you do it, and it will probably fail in some ways. And again, it could be a lack of imagination on my part. You may be able to like describe something to me that I haven't thought of yet. But it's an important conversation, period. You're totally right.
What stops this from happening? I think honestly, it's kind of terminology. Like defund the police as a practical matter is working. We're seeing more and more police agencies that are tagging out psychiatric evaluation personnel to go on calls instead of armed police officers. But nobody wants to hear the term defund the police. Oh, they're going to take our cops away. No, that's not. But it's not great word choice, right? So I think UBI now. First of all, not nearly enough people understand it, but I think the thing that's important about that is that Alaska has had UBI for decades. What do you think oil revenues are? The oil revenue sharing for citizens of Alaska is? It's UBI. It's passive income that's earned because of something your state is doing to generate revenue, right? So that's all UBI really is. It's distributing money directly to people. So call it that. Call it an economic fairness dividend. I don't know, but
or just an economic dividend, like wax as an economic
citizenship dividend, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's like, the uplift is going to be doing this, right? Like every single transaction that happens in the uplift, 50% of it is going into the pot that's going to be earned by everybody who's doing stuff in the thing. That kind of recursive engine is something that I'm really fascinated with. So this is what Corey meant by how do we stop this from happening? I'm going to put money in, force the price up, then pull out some of the stock when it triples, etc., and use that money to short those same stocks, then sell my remaining stocks. What's stopping that? Nothing. And I'll tell you right now, the guys that first started this will short this stock. I guarantee it, right? And when they flip to short it, everyone loses their money. This is when I talk about like smart money versus dumb money, nothing will stop this. Because I'm looking at this, price going up to, let's say fucking GameStop goes to 1,000, which is like a one double away from now, which is all ludicrous. But it could totally happen. If I put a leverage short on that, once people stop talking about it, I'll make generational wealth from that if I put in 10 grand. So of course I'm going to do it. If not me, because I don't give a shit, but somebody will, right? And so everybody loses their money because once the meme runs out of steam, then the money will run out, and then it'll just be sell pressure on a stock that doesn't deserve to be 1,000.
Freedom dividend was a good choice. Yep.
Well, it was tested.
Right.
You joked about that all the time. Yeah, we tested it. It tests better.
Oh boy. I think he's talking about GME here. I think it'll easily go up to $1,200 if the meme keeps up. That's insane. That's crazy.
Well, it's crazy. It's up 200x. Like, that's fucked up. Like, really fucked up. Like, that's like,
I was shocked when I looked this morning and it was still climbing. Like in pre-trading,
Bitcoin's never done that. Let's see where like hashtag coffee, where you come for the fun conversation and stick around for the charts of GameStop stock. What?
Nobody had this on their bingo card. Well, nobody outside of the Reddit Wall Street Bets thread, anyway. Hi, Carrie. We already talked about you. Too bad.
This level of volatility, like there's people making. Okay, this chart is fucked up. Wow. Hold on. I'm gonna go down to the 4 hour here. And like the gaps in it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go down to a 1 hour chart.
Yeah, you said, Corey, your wife has been on this for a few months now. That's pretty prescient.
That is prescient. All right, hold on here. Okay, so this is an hourly chart. So every candle, every little rectangle is 1 hour of buying, right? And so it starts like every green is whatever, you get the idea.
Green is up, red is down.
Yeah, so 45. It topped out at 500. But this is where things get interesting, right? It goes up to 150. Like, there's no way that it could possibly go any higher. It gets in the news. Now you're up at 400 or whatever, right? And it's tossing around in here, which is really interesting. And then basically, like, it runs out of steam. The second it goes underneath this, it drops to the last time where there was buying pressure, which was over here, right? This is actually acting like a normal chart, just at ridiculous bonkers scale. So people buy again, which is hilarious. And notice that this is the just an average of the stock price, right? Which is always kind of interesting. And then it gaps up again, news, and this will be like overnight trading and futures trading and different things like that. So it's up here. The second it goes beneath this line, so if it drops below 309, that's why trailing stops are good if you really want to get all crazy about it. Once it goes through here, it's going to come back to at least here. And if it drops through here, it'll come right back to the beginning. Because there's no intense buying spots for it. So that's the thing. Once this runs out of steam, in all likelihood, it's going to come back to where all of the buying pressure started.
And I'm okay with that. Do I feel bad? I don't know. But the thing about somebody who gets conned by a con artist, you have to have a little bit of larceny in your heart to really get got by a con artist. You have to want something at less than you should be paying for it. That's how con artists work, right? So if you got into this thinking you were going to make a killing in the stock market, I'm not so sure I feel bad for you.
This is the thing. Like, there is a pump and dump industry, right? Like where people will gather a bunch of other people and like they'll basically run a short squeeze, and again, hedge funds are doing this with shorts at scale in reverse.
Right.
So fuck them. period, right? So any hedge fund that does this deserves to fail, and anybody who put their money in with them deserves to fail. I mean, let's not get that twisted. Even if it is a bunch of firefighters or whatever, if it's good for them, it has to be good for everybody else. But quit getting your nails did. Yeah, I mean, Dave just came in and we've been kind of telling this story from the beginning. This is the thing, like, so looking at a chart like this, is it possible that this goes to 1,000? Yeah, but I mean, that's one double. Is it worth it anymore? No. From a financial point of view, like for a go fuck yourself point of view, yeah, go after it.
That's my whole starting position on this.
And I think the damage is already done, though, right? Like, you're not going to do any more damage to these because they've already liquidated, right? Like, you're not going to, like, now granted, this is where the fight could get really fucked up. And honestly, the little guy, you're going to lose. If large hedge funds decide to start shorting GameStop, then they'll drive this price into the ground. There's nothing anyone can do about it. There isn't enough small people money to fight them, which is why I say, like, not even close, like thousands to one, for real. Like, there isn't enough money to deploy that is held by normal people to fight them, which is why I kept saying, like, this is all fine and good, but you're trying to fight a tsunami with a plastic fork.
Right.
And at scale, like one GameStop, whatever, and they weren't ready for it, and they were completely over leveraged, and you're going to be able to smash these things. And honestly, the large hedge funds aren't playing these stupid fucking, like, bottom feeder short squeezes anyway. Because, you can.
So this is like the Japanese winning Pearl Harbor without thinking about the entire industrial weight of America coming down on them over the next 4 or 5 years.
I mean, if you try and sustain it, right? But like the battle,
they want a battle, right? Yeah,
right. Like you kind of made your point. If Japan had said, "Hey, like, just like we would like a truce now, just don't, just give us some oil in the
nobody gets hurt
in the Eastern Pacific, right? Like, just like let's find a balance." Then maybe, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I feel better that we had this talk because I was so ready this morning.
Yeah, so I ended up chatting with these crypto monkeys people that just give NFTs away, like their whole model.
Yeah, I got a couple from them. I got one from you this morning, and I've gotten another one from them like a couple weeks ago.
and the more of these things you hold, the more you get. So like holding them and buying them means that you get more of these, and they're actually kind of witty. Like they're really, they made one monkey Lorian that I'll never sell. Go fuck yourself. It's bad Lorian. But they're going to be in the community cluster in the Uplift now, which is awesome. They're huge into Upland, which is another one of these kind of metaverse type games, which is really interesting. So that's kind of where I was at. I ended up chatting with them about this other thing and completely totally lost track of time.
All right. So, anyway. Here's the good news. Like, if we miss a show, it's not like the world is going to burn down necessarily. So...
this is Biden's delaying all executive orders, re-immigration kids till DHS secretary is confirmed. I don't know. I don't know what.
Okay, I covered this morning because there's a lot of like left pressure now. How come kids are still in cages? Well, where are you going to put them? How are you going to just how are you going to make sure they're safe? Who's feeding them? Where are they staying? Like what I reminded people this morning, and I'll do it again now, is in 2018 when Beto O'Rourke was running for Senate in Texas, DHS. Which oversees Customs and Border Patrol, told Customs and Border Patrol they had to release the detainees. And what did they do with them? They took them to El Paso in the middle of the night in February and dumped them under an overpass. Thousands of detainees, right? Is that so? When we say get the kids out of cages, what I see happening here is making sure that since there was no transition between the Trump administration or the Trump occupancy and the Biden administration, that we can't. The Biden administration can't have made a plan. Who are these kids? Where are these kids? How many are in each facility? What's the closest urban center where we could put them? What agencies can be available to bring them food? How are we? There's a lot of infrastructure that has to happen to release these kids. You can't just set them loose because that's no better than what's happening now, and maybe worse. Right. So
have a plan, answer all these questions, and then write the order to fit the plan.
Yes, right. So that's what I think. That's what I think, Deb, is that's what this is about. He's delaying executive order until he has a DHS secretary who's confirmed and has the authority to do those things and the authority to spend money to do those things.
Dr. Flotus, I am here for all day.
Right. Yep.
Has her aide overseeing Joe's team to make sure this is done delicately and right. So it's going to take time, but I trust it'll be done.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that kind of is my baseline right now, especially hearing some of the news that's coming out about the vaccine rollout from Babs, who like is working with the VA and like getting all the inside skinny and all that stuff. Like it's going to start happening fast, which is really
There's
cool.
already there's a vaccination site set up at Gulfview Square Mall. It's still chaos and drag to get an appointment, and you have to be over 65 still. So I'm fucked. But my mom could, if she could get into the system, could get an appointment.
Yeah, and I think that the bottleneck is going to start easing because not only are they getting more doses from companies, they're also soon to have more companies to choose from and more vaccines to choose from. Like all of this is really interesting because there's like all these new strains. Babs is actually really worried about the Britain strain because we don't really know that much about it. And there's going to be more because these fucking clowns let everybody get infected. So it's just like how to make a virus evolve really quickly. Well, let it have many, many life cycles in many, many millions of people. But on the good side of that, like the way that this the way the vaccine works can be programmed to work for anything. Like this is what people
right.
Like,
that's the mRNA component, right?
Right. Like what we're missing about this discovery is that like viruses are now in deep fucking shit. And so there's going to be a lot more of them. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but the infrastructure is getting built out so that we're going to be able to adapt much quicker in the future to the point where, this kind of thing is just going to be a thing that we have to put up with every once in a while. And there will still be like a significant death rate from it until we figure out how to completely eradicate it. But as a civilization, we're going to be fine. And it's just going to be a thing that we can handle.
So Dave, I want to address this. If your campaign promises to get the kids out of cages, though, maybe have a plan to do that. Great. But the plan has to intersect with what's still standing at DHS. In other words, without knowing how much damage the Trump administration had done to infrastructure. Maybe they came in with a perfect plan, but everything that they were going to plug that plan into has been disassembled by the Trump administration. I think that's likely what's going on here. I think it's true. And I also think it's a much bigger problem than they let on. I saw that last night. There may be as many as 100,000 detainees.
Yeah, it's not like, think about this from Biden's perspective. Is he going to does he want to keep the kids in cages? No, right? So like the whole idea is he saw something that made him do this, and I trust that because I've never been given any reason by Biden not to.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning back in today. It's very generous of you to share another hour of your time with us today. Appreciate that. It was great. And Corey, by way of mea culpa in a private message, said he was going to say something today. So get your tape recorders handy.
Yeah.
Don't forget this one.
I want to record this. Sasquatch is real.
I love it. Bye, guys. We'll see you Monday.